Cześć! It's Michalina from Coffee That Gives a Pack. Welcome to the first episode of 2023. And to be fair, this episode was supposed to be about something totally different, but I accidentally came across this. And I had to do something about it. I am in Australia on a holiday for another 6 hours. And this is staying in Australia, and I'm going back to New Zealand. So there's not much time left to actually play with it. When I saw this, I very quickly had to rearrange my ideas for my last day on holidays in Australia, just so I can share my thoughts about this little creature here with you. My first question that popped to my mind was, will this be better, worse, or maybe equally good as this? Mokapot and the French press will be an equivalent for what I think this might be. Or at least that's my guess, because they both work on the very similar principles. This one is a little bit more expensive though, and heavier. How will this perform compared to the cheaper set? Let's go. I realized that for someone who sees this little creature for the very first time, especially when set aside Mokapot and the French press, nothing might make sense. What does one have to do with the other? Let me explain. Bellman SX25P espresso maker and milk steamer, because that's what its name, was designed to find a solution for someone who can't afford buying an espresso machine, but still want to have the quality of coffee that it serves in coffee shops, for example. Not only it brews the coffee in a way that it will remind you of an espresso shot made by espresso machine, there's also a pressure system built in and a steaming one. So tools that are also attached to most of the coffee machines. This way you are able to achieve very nice and silky, smooth, velvety milk that reminds you of the texture of the milk that you achieve with the help of espresso machines. Inventors of Bellman espresso maker and the steamer wanted you to have a tool that you can easily take with you when you're camping, or you have a very little kitchen so you don't have room for espresso machine, or you have a machine that only does good espresso shots but is not doing the great job when it comes to stretching the milk so you can enjoy the silky texture of your flat white, for example. So why would you spend big money for espresso machines when you can buy this for, in Australia it costs around $180, in New Zealand $160. So you won't find a coffee machine for that money. No. And I'm here to see if you really can do it. I've already been playing with it before I started recording this video, so I have my thoughts on it, but I want you to see how the whole process of preparation coffee with this looks like. That way you can have your own opinion, whether you actually would be interested in buying something like this or not. And then we're gonna compare it to the coffee made with the little set of small Mokapot and the French press. Come on! Enjoy!
Okay, so let me just quickly present what the Bellman is built with, as it has many, limbs coming out of it. Firstly, the pressure gauge. Based on its reading, you'll know when the Bellman is ready to both make a coffee and stretch your milk with the help of the steam wand and its valve attached to the other side of the brewer. Slightly to the side, you have a removable coffee valve. That's where your coffee will be pouring from. There's also a handle, so you are able to lift and carry the brewer. And on the very top, there is an assembly nut that tightens down the inner part of the tool. To open the brewer, you need to unscrew the top knob and remove coffee valve set. Inside, you'll find a flat adapter. It allows you to brew less or more coffee. That is a good feature if you like to play with your recipe ratio. And the entire brew basket that fits around 50 grams of coffee, enough for 2, let's call them espresso style coffees, but you can use less. Once you remove the brew basket, you'll see a scale of 3 lines marking recommended levels of water that you can pour into the brewer for best results. Bellman comes with a pack of paper filters for more clear extraction. They are designed to be placed on top of the coffee bed and a small milk pitcher that you can stretch your milk at. Now that all the parts are listed, let me take my grinder and the coffee and let's see what the Bellman can do. So I ground my coffee relatively fine, just how I would for making an espresso. Anything coarser would make the water go through the coffee too quickly, leaving you with under-extracted brew. When transferring the coffee into the basket, don't let the grounds enter this little hole in the middle like I just did. Cover it with your finger to avoid losing coffee. With the help of the adapter, you can tamp the grounds, just slightly, to even them out. I used around 30 grams of coffee, so I left the adapter inside the basket. Pressed by the top knob, it holds my coffee firmly in place and helps keeping the resistance for water when the extraction starts. I also boiled my water first to speed the process up and used around 130 grams of it, just below the lowest point on the scale. That was enough to make a coffee and to create some steam for stretching the milk later. Once I made sure everything is safety screwed, I placed the Bellman on the stovetop, or tried to, and waited for the pressure to go up. There were no real indicators other than the pressure gauge readings to know that I can take it off the heat. The steam was supposed to be coming out of the safety valve, but it didn't, so I just trusted the recommendation and took it off the heat when the pressure reached 2 bars. Now watch out, this is hot, don't touch. I placed the coffee cup underneath the coffee valve and gently open it. Coffee was coming out of the Bellman a bit messier than I was expecting and not as smooth as I saw that it can on some other YouTube videos, but well, maybe it's just a matter of finding the sweet flow that comes with practice. In saying it, I used this brewer several times and I've always had similar results. Well, onto the milk stretching. That was not a promising sound. After I brewed the coffee, the pressure was sitting at 1.3 bars, so theoretically it was perfect to make beautiful microfoam. But if I'm being honest, I had pretty hard time working with it. I could hear and I could see and feel that the pressure was very quickly decreasing, and I was worrying if I can make somewhat okay-ish milk. I also played with it several times, even with higher pressure to start off with. Not once I was super happy with my milk. But maybe it's me and my poor pouring skills. I did manage to have some foam. There is a little bit of latte art, but definitely not up to my standards. I definitely was not as satisfied as I was hoping to be. Anyway, moving on to the taste and texture experience. Yes, it tasted good. Coffee flavors were rich and pleasant. Combined with this mediocre milk, it was still enjoyable to drink. But to be fair, the whole experience was pretty average. The brewer was tricky to set above the flames. I was scared of burning myself when using it to make a coffee. The pressure seemed to be inaccurate to what the gauge was saying. Would I be using Bellman every day? I'm not too sure. Let me quickly fly to New Zealand, where my Mokapot and French press, also called plunger, are, to see if it is maybe equally awkward to use. Yes, I made many more coffees with Mokapot than I did with the Bellman, but still, in my opinion, the whole experience was just much more enjoyable. And as you could see, milk frothing with French press is honestly the easiest way to texture your milk at home. No need to check any pressure or play with the milk jug position, etc, etc. Just few moves and it's ready. I felt that I had definitely more control over the volume of foam I'm creating in the French press. Making coffee with French press and Mokapot took me way less time. I also didn't burn myself. It just feels to me like a much more user-friendly equipment. Well, not bad if you ask me. Taking that French press was made to make coffee, not frothing a milk, I think it's pretty good latte art, and the texture, I had nothing to complain about. And when it comes to the tasting experience, I enjoy that coffee a lot. It's very similar experience to drinking coffee made with the Bellman, with the difference that here my milk is actually hotter, not just lukewarm. The entire set costs less than $100 and it's easy accessible. For very similar taste experience, maybe a little bit better with Mokapot, I do prefer spend less money and have quicker and easier to control preparation.
But maybe that was just me. And all it needs is a little bit of practice and time with getting better in the preparation of the coffee with the help of a Bellman. Let me know, maybe you have one of those and you enjoy making coffee with it, you like the flow, and you can teach me. Convince me that it's a money well spent. Peace and coffee.